into there's an RO type filter system. They don't call them reverse osmosis filters, but essentially they reject less than 1 micron of debris, so quite high. And so that is one concern that I do have, is that we are transporting the water most of the way through asbestos piping. So that will need to be addressed. So did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, pretty well. I'm a chemist. I understand how it works.
Yes, sir.
I've listened to this business for the last 2 or 3 years that we were gonna get springs online. I know one thing, you have to go out there and actually wanna make it happen.
I agree. And I'm willing to help.
And I think it's, you know, as members of the board, if we get involved and make phone calls and talk to the state and be on top of what's happening and bugging them and calling, maybe they'll come down and give us a helping hand.
Thank you. Brent, do you have any thoughts on this matter? Have you seen Carissa Springs?
Yes, I have. I've actually walked down in there and looked at the spring boxes and everything. The more sources, the better, especially when the main well apparently is, I mean, every well has limitations of what it can produce, but if the drawdown is going to be too much, we need another water source. It's less pumping costs because we're not having to pump it, 600 plus feet out of the ground, and we would need to make sure that our sampling program is 4.0, because trihalomethanes becomes a concern for surface water, not so much groundwater. But it's, we just want to make sure that, like Mike said, that we make sure that the filtration system isn't bypassing. And but a lot of cities and towns around the country have surface water,
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great for us to have that source. And I know that I've seen items, in the budget. It looks like that's the direction we're heading. And we just need to push through and finish it.
Thank you. Well, you see this microphone over here? If you have any questions, come to the microphone. Oh, here comes Mr. Coronado again. Remember, now it's question time, not statement time.
Well, this is a sort of a question.
Aha, aha.
Each one of you individuals that are running for the board of directors, the question I have for you guys is that we need to have, you guys talk about transparency. And we've all heard that word used widely, especially in politics anymore. And you've got to really basically define what transparency means to you. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm saying this, is that this year there's been a lot of transparency in when there is water outages out in the system. And it's been basically something that's been very welcome, that, NAN lets people know where the water outage is going to be and approximately how long it's going to be before we get service again. That's a wonderful thing. That was never being done before. And so what will you guys do to give us transparency on the road system? Will you maybe incorporate a notification system so that maybe it goes up on the bulletin board, or somehow there is notifications being sent out so that people aren't sitting there wondering, when is my road going to get repaired? Okay, I know that there's other things that the road repairers are waiting for, such as road fill, making sure they get enough gravel, enough of the road fill to go around to finish grading the roads. And I'm sure there's an individual here that could probably maybe even answer that question. But I think that will help tremendously. Me particularly, running a business on Dry Creek Drive, for example. I've had to reroute my truck drivers to bring me coffee, the green coffee that comes in on trucks. Reroute them because a couple of times they couldn't get through the road. So, but if I knew when that road is gonna be completed or gonna be fixed finally, then it would make a big difference for my business to be able to relay that information to the truck drivers. So how will you address that so that it's better, more transparency, so that that can help, particularly those of us that are running a business in this community?
So just so I'm clear here, are you suggesting that you would like to have a road repair schedule that was available to all of our villagers?
Not necessarily a schedule, but just notification as to what the plan is for when our road is going to be fully repaired,
Okay,
so to speak.
so does someone want to address this right away, or you want to think about it a little bit? Repair of roads is the time, okay, that's it, moving on, you know? No.
Well-
But, you know, give it a little time to think about it, because that's kind of there's a lot of roads here.
And I assume that the road Frank was talking about is not a county road.
No.
You know, one way to do it is, you know, with the board, work with management, but get a list of all of the known deficient roads that where repairs are needed. Rank them in the order that they expect to fix them. And at least that way you know what the priority is. It's not necessarily, you know, correlate to a date, but at least you can see what needs to be fixed, you know, what kind of resources they expect to have to expend on it. And as you work that list off, you know, you could just mark it as complete, and people could see kind of where the one that they're most concerned about ranks in that list. And if for some reason they think that this one should be more important than that one, then they can give them their opinion on why they think it's more important. And then something like that could be posted to the website. That's just one possible solution.
Thank you, Brent B. Did you have something that you wanted to?
Well, I would make a suggestion to management that they schedule roads and put them out like they do when they're gonna do repairs with the water pipe. Say that such and such streets are gonna be graded this week, and if somebody has another street that needs it more, they should call in. But that again is working with management.
Thank you. Mike, did you have thoughts on this?
So first Frank was talking about transparency. What my views are on transparency. I put that on the back of my postcard that I sent out, restoring transparency and honesty. TWSD is owned by the people. You know, as residents, we own this organization. Those who work for TWSD are stewards of it. We trust them to take care of this building, keep the maintenance up on that, and another aspect is the roads. So transparency to me is the best, as greatly possible as we can do it. To the greatest extent, we need to be open with everything that we have for the citizens, because the water district only exists because we have residents here. There'd be no need for TWSD if we didn't have residents here. So the residents own TWSD, and in regard to the roads, Jesse grades roads. The grading of the roads is more than I've seen in recent history. The scheduling process, in the past, I saw things in the minutes where Ronnie would say which would be the next sets of roads to be done. Perhaps they could incorporate it into the web page for Timberon Water. Maybe they could have a section where Ronnie or Jesse could post his projected roads for the future, but we've had high maintenance costs on repairs of that grader. So that would be one way where I would suggest that way a person who's needing to have their road graded can look there to see if they're on the list, if it's on the web, and they could also consecutively post it on the board. But at some point, we're gonna have to move away from just road grading to actually starting to apply aggregate to these roads. The types of aggregate that's there now is bedrock, and most of it's been pushed to the peripheries of the road. And so I think because that's the only means we have right now, we're calling that road maintenance. But road maintenance would be grade a good, proper bed of classified aggregate that belongs there according to the specs on the road, and then the grading is helpful. So I'd venture to say it'd probably be a lot better if you had some aggregate in there on your road, because I'm familiar with the road you're talking about. There's a lot of soil there and it washes out, you get a lot of ruts. Grading it in a wet condition is not gonna get you much. We need aggregate on these roads. So my idea would be that we post something on the web where he places on there when he's gonna have the roads done, when he's gonna be in your area. And if you have a need that yours is done sooner, then they could put some, maybe something on the bottom for people who have an urgent need because their roads are too rutted. Because not all of them degrade at the same time in between grading. But we need aggregate, and that's another cost issue. The rock crusher I've read about that. There's gonna be some permit issues with that as well if we go that route. It's difficult to get a permit for the rock crushing because of all the dust. The community would have to buy into that. But that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mike. I don't even have a watch, so there's a half an hour left to ask questions, or you could just mingle. Oh, there's a question.
Good evening. My name is John Weaver. I live on Sock, the first road as you come in after you cross the bridge there. I drive that little camouflage Suburban around town. I think a lot of people probably know that more than they know me. But anyway, this is more of a suggestion, I guess, than something for the board to think about. Then it would be a question, and it's just an idea. But we're going to back up a little bit here. In reference to the golf course, I truly don't think the golf course can support itself. So in helping the golf course and getting more money for it, I think something like either a gun range or an archery range, and have people pay fees to go out there on that, and maybe even have a gun club or an archery club that would help support the golf course, would be a good idea. Maybe your grapes would go over pretty good too, I don't know. But that would be something that, I think there's a lot more people up here to shoot and archery shoot more than you do golf. But I think that would help support the golf course, and it'd be something to think about. It wouldn't cost that much to put them in, and if you're talking about liability, there's waivers you can sign. There's ways to do it, and it wouldn't cost the upkeep on a golf course is way, 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 way higher than it would be for a rifle range or archery range. And you could put those out on side places where they wouldn't be involving the golf course or anything like that. And you could have somebody, and I'd almost volunteer for it, kind of maintain them and control them a little bit, where people got to sign in and come in and do it. And you could have a club and have members pay an annual fee, which goes, and all the money would go to the golf club and help with that too. And I think you'd have a lot more people interested in that than would golfers. There's probably some golfers up here, but I think there's a lot more people that like to shoot and archery shoot.
That's a good suggestion. I'm just thinking about what kind of insurance would be involved with these kinds of things. Because, yes, I don't believe that maintaining a shooting range would be all that expensive, but I believe there would be some liability issues. Do you...
Guns and grapes.
Guns and grapes. Oh, we have this slogan now. Awesome. Yeah, good slogan. But yeah, you're right. Waivers, if you, that's, you know, if someone hunts on your land, you have them sign a waiver stating that hunt at your own risk. So that could probably solve that problem as well.
It's a good idea. There are a lot of people that like to go shoot, and there may be some people that want to, you know, combine it, come up to play around the golf and do some shooting. You never know.
Shoot golf balls.
Yeah. But you know, Carlsbad has a nice range, and anybody can just drive in and start shooting.
Wow.
I was surprised there wasn't any paperwork or anything.
Wow. If Carlsbad can do it, right? Mike, do you have any thoughts on this? On this?
I think that's how you get the ideas in a committee. People who are interested in contributing to coming up with ideas and how we save it. Because I think that's kind of where I'm sitting from. The way I see it, that's where we're at with it. It's not, let's just put some more money to maintain it for another year. It would have to be a total package on all these thoughts being put together and worked through. And I'm not opposed to any idea. I just I don't know if I'd want to be on the other side of downrange of that. One of the, you know, but any problems can be worked through, you know, if the idea is good enough. So I'm still in favor of bringing a platform for those ideas, the grapes, the rifle range, and people who want to contribute to it, they could come in and you can brainstorm, you can come up with a lot more ideas.
I would be willing to talk to them about, talk to their board about it and help set things up too and stuff, you know, really do it right.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's been some can kicking down the road because it's a sensitive issue, and rightly so. It's a centerpiece of the community, so any decisions we make, they need to be well thought of, and we need to research it adequately before we make a decision, but it's gonna be forced upon us if we don't. So, you know, that's one good idea, and there may be a lot more.
Thank you, Mike. Did you have something on that?
I was just gonna say that again, is community involvement. It's, you know, we need the community to get together and brainstorm and come up with ideas. The 5 ward members have ideas, but if we have the community, we will get a whole bunch more.
Thank you. Like you said, there's that microphone over there. I'm gonna start asking questions. No, I'm just kidding. Harvey's back.
I'm sorry. Most of you know me, that know I'm not short on words. Anyway, I think that B's got a good point in that, you know, and a lot of the people who have had comments up here, I would really like to see you at the meetings, at these board meetings. And a lot of it is not just about the board members. This is about, it's our community. And I know that it used to be a lot more participation in the board meetings. I've been going to these board meetings for the last nearly 3 years, and I don't see many of these faces at any of the board meetings. And in the last couple months, I have seen some of the candidates showing up and trying to find out what's going on. But if you really care about what's going on here, come tell them what you want them to do. Come, you know, let's discuss getting some more road material in here. Let's brainstorm about getting, you know, some material to put on the roads where you've got just dirt roads. I got dirt road out there. They tore my road up the other day, and I still don't have any gravel on it. And anyway, I'm just gonna make sure, it was really more of a point that a lot of these things should be discussed and at a board meeting, after you're elected, or if you are elected, we could talk about it.
Thank you for your vote.
Harvey.
Harvey. Well, you know, this time was set up by till 7:30 to ask questions, but if there are no more formal questions, we can dissolve this meeting.
Thank y'all.
Oh, no! Is this a real question this time?